Welcome back to my Steam Next Fest series where I give you a brief rundown on some demos that really stuck out to me during the week-long event. Last time I covered both February and June in one video, but this time I'm only talking about October. Let's get started. One thing I struggle with when playing roguelites is managing constant movement with attacking and using skills. I get that that's the entire point, but my coordination or lack thereof just won't. Thankfully, Hunchback's dungeon takes some of the work out without sacrificing difficulty. You mix and match skills and items to defeat hordes of enemies in waves that last less than 5 minutes. It's the standard affair, but you don't have to actually activate the attacks. There aren't any inputs beyond moving with the WASD keys. Maybe this is common in roguelites, but as someone who doesn't play them often, it felt novel to me as I focused on creating the perfect build that would get me through each wave. I wasn't always successful, but I kept wanting to go back, which is something I don't often do with games like this. I miss those really cute, minimal gameplay DS games. Do you? Nom Nom Cozy Forest Café kind of feels like it's going to occupy that same space, interestingly enough. The demo was only 8-ish minutes long and didn't show much, but it was enough. You serve adorable little animals cookies in your forest cafe that you can also decorate, and to really cement itself as a game for the people, there's a rhythm game built into the cooking making. Remember what I said earlier about roguelites? Well, that still applies, but listen. Sometimes the premise can get me through, and while Play Pretend doesn't feel very new mechanically, it does put you in the shoes of an elementary age child who's just playing imaginary games during their hour-long recess break. You gain ideas instead of abilities and boosts as you fight hordes of armored men whose heads pop off, frogs, and cat witches on broomsticks. It's all rather cute and surprisingly nostalgic. The world seems to be ending, but you still have to serve burgers and beer in the demo for while we wait here. Oh, I didn't intend for that to rhyme. This was another short demo, so I don't want to say too much about it, but it had a surprising punch. Mixed in with its kitchen management sim-like mechanics, you get these really quick bursts of story that are confusing and tense. The ending of this really solidified it for me as all the tension hit a peak in a way that I wasn't expecting. I'm genuinely so very curious as to how the horror elements in this play out because I can see it being very interesting. So, Wild Country. This one is just goofy and fun, but not in a bad way. With Wild Country, your main goal is to use the cards you have to build a city that produces a set amount of money quicker than your opponent does. Similar to how I felt with the Cross Splits demo from earlier this year, this kind of game just seems to work for me. Tactical card games with their own personality may be something I enjoy. Moving on to the first platformer of the video, SELINI is a moody and cryptic game with a vague story about sentiency and robots, I think? I was left with a lot of questions during this demo that I don't think will ever be answered, and I love that. As for gameplay, the platforming is smooth, though a little floaty, and requires a decent amount of puzzle solving. There's some combat and boss fighting mixed in with this, but the mechanics are appropriately simple for such a quiet and unassuming game. Can you believe the Horticular demo let me build a bee habitat? In all seriousness, Horticular combines the more menu and tutorial heavy mechanics of a base builder with a little whimsy and some garden gnomes. The lore in this demo seems interesting so far, but the garden maintenance is really what I'm here for. I'm curious to see how my garden can change over time as I add plants, water features, etc. But what I really love is that all of the additions are made with the specific purpose of making the garden more hospitable to a variety of animals. I don't know, this demo just kind of proves that animal husbandry can be fun. To take something as simple as a block of color and turn it into an intricate building feels like magic, and there's no doubt that Everholm is a gorgeous game. It's also an easy game to compare to Stardew Valley, but Everholm is also building this really interesting story that I think can separate it from a lot of games. I like the set pieces of this one a lot, and the slight magical vibe interests me enough to include it. Welcome to the last game of the video, and welcome to the Oregon Trail, where resources are low and cannibalism is always an option. In Wagon, you're in charge of getting the surviving members of your camp to Oregon City with only a deck of cards and a spirit to appease. Essentially, you get cards like Wagon, Person, Ox, and have to combine them to get more complex items and find better resources. On top of it all, the deck you have is limited in size and sacrifices have to be made to continue on. This is a challenging demo. Each rest stop brings new issues, new diseases, new freezing bodies, new deaths, and it often feels as if the cards you have are never enough. It took a lot of game overs for me to find my way, and even now, I'm not too good, but I'd recommend. Thanks for sticking with me, and I hope you found a new demo to try. Also, check the description for some honorable mentions that didn't make it to the video. And with that, see you for Steam Next Fest next year.